Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be creating creating over a collage background. So I'm starting out with a page that I'd sort of played around with. I had a bit of collage stuck down here and there, but I got distracted and decided to come back to it. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. So I just stuck some paint over the top of it. I started out with some yellow. Now I'm going to put some fuchsia down, and then with a stencil I'm going to rub through and do this sort of ghosty technique. This is a Stencil Girl stencil. I really love it because it's just got the repeating pattern, but because it's all random as well, it just appeals to me. As things do. So once I've done this, I'm going to go in now with some turquoise and do the same again. So you can see that I am deliberately adding paint over areas I've already painted and then rubbing away the excess. To do this technique, you need to have dry layers. So the yellow and the magenta were dry before I put the turquoise down, which is why I was able to rub that away and not affect the other layers. So once I'd done that, I decided I wanted to put some stamping in the background. And again, I'm using similar colours. So I used yellows and a reddish tone and a bluish tone in the background. So I'm using those tones to stamp with some background stamps. It's really subtle, it sort of blends in. You'll see in the close-up at the end how that sort of, those bits and pieces come up. But it's again that repetition of colour and pattern. So it helps kind of tie it all together. Now this is looking very busy, as do a lot of the pages that I do in my journals, but it's how I create. So you can stop at any stage. You don't need to do as many layers as me. But I just find, particularly on days like this when I'm doing it, I didn't really have a direction, so I was just playing and I just kept adding layers. And if that layer didn't work, well, I add another layer over the top. So with that one, I added some copper and then I wiped it away, so I sort of got this masked effect over my page. I did know I wanted to put some collage on this page, so I decided that instead of stenciling this image like I usually do, I would use it as a collage photo piece. So I'm drawing out my image using a marker sort of to draw around the main body, the main face part of the image, and then I'm going to draw in the hair. This is a bit I always struggle with because I really struggle with drawing hair. But you know, just have a go. The good thing about doing this is the fact that at the end you're going to cut it all out anyway. So if you do something you really don't like, you can give her a little haircut as you go along and make sure you've got the bits that you really want in instead. I'm just using a permanent marker to do this. This is an El Cheapo from newsagents. It's basically an alcohol marker, so if you've got a Copic marker or a Sharpie or something like that, it will do the same job. I don't tend to use my Posca paint pens to do this. I don't know why. I think it's just because this dries quicker and it's got a different shine. It's a bit shiny. I don't know. I just really like how it looks. So yeah. Why do we choose the things off our desk that we choose? I don't know. It's a bit hard to justify sometimes. So once I've cut out my image, I'm going to glue on the page, but first of all I'm going to put in the white of her eye. And I don't know if you can see that, but just by putting that little dot of white in her eye, it just changes the whole entire thing and makes it almost come alive a little bit. So even though everything looks a little bit cartoony, just having that little dot of white and that catch-all in her eye sort of makes it all tie together. So once I've got my little doll, I'm going to glue her down on the page. No, I'm not. I'm going to do some mark making in the background. So I've got my big fat Posca paint pen and I'm just using that to make the dots in the background. So I put a little bit of mark making. Now I'm going with the black pen as well and doing some more mark making because again, when it comes to mark making, I get a little bit carried away and I like to add it in everywhere. Now I'm working out where I want to put my image after I put in some more line work, because you know it's me and I can't stop. I really can't stop. Now I'm going in red. Like, honestly, Niamh, what are you doing? Okay. But you can sort of see from what I started off with, there's a stage in all mixed media where it's like, ugh, I hate this. This looks awful. And it is having that trust in yourself to go on to the next level and do the next step and bring it together. So that might making at the end made such a huge difference to this whole page. I could have left it just with that collage and the stenciling over the top, but that was a bit blah. By putting the next few layers on, that's what sort of brought it together again. So just have confidence in yourself and just have a go. And the best thing about these sorts of pages or doing it in your art journals, if you really hate it, you can just glue something over the top again. You're not going to lose out by having a go. So I decided I was going to put a quote on this page, and as a good idea comes a great idea when you let it out, which I really liked because it kind of summed up this page. Now, I wasn't sure where it was going to come from, but by having a go and keeping going, it sort of all ties together. And, you know, coming down to just even putting that little collage image on top. Now, if you didn't want to draw something out like that, or if you didn't have a stencil that you could do something like that, any face stencil will work. You could certainly do a little bit of magazine collage in the background, or you could use a photo of yourself, you know, someone from your family, draw over the top of that. Obviously, you could try drawing your own figure as well. You know, there's always a way to put a focal image on your page. So when I've got my words written out, you notice I wrote it out in quite fine lettering first. Now I'm going in with a thicker pen and just making everything quite bold on my page. And then I'll go through with a white pen and do a drop shadow on my letters to help push it out from the background. One thing that I have learnt from experience is it's really important to let your paint pen dry, whether that be with your heat gun or just letting it dry for a few minutes before you put your hand over it, because you'll notice my hand goes over everything. It means it won't smudge. So I really like the Posca pens because it is acrylic paint in a pen form, so once it dries it is permanent, but you need to let it dry first. So I have gotten the habit of making sure I have dried it before I put my hand in it to smudge it. Now I'm just going along and finishing off my border. Please excuse my head in the way. Love the fact I still got my sunglasses on my head. I was trying to decide if I was going to put white lines in it, and decided I wanted to, just to balance up the white a little bit on the page again, and to echo the stripes in her shirt or neck as well. So I'm just using my really fat Posca paint pen to draw down the lines. They're not very exact, but it works. I could have drawn them out beforehand, but you know, why do that when you can make it up on the go? So now I'm just going in and finishing off little bits that went a bit funny, and obviously drying it before I close my page. Excuse me. And cleaning off my ruler. That's one thing I have found, that while the Posca pens dry really well on your books, they take a little while to dry on your ruler. So make sure you wipe them off and dry them off in between goes, because otherwise you're going to mix and match your colours. Final thing I did was add a little bit of colour in her eyes, and to finish off her face. And that's the end. You can see all the detail in the background, all the mark making and how it all ties together. It's lots of fun to do. Just have a go. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.